Hello friends, this is Petradot. Thank you for tuning in. The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has really changed our world without a doubt. And if you are a Christian that studies Bible prophecy that Jesus has given us in his word, you can really see how many of the things happening around us are really helping to set up the stage for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. So today I will share with you 5 main ways that I can see that COVID-19 is helping to set up the stage for the fulfillment of end-time Bible prophecy. Number 1, the whole world coming together. Prophecy tells us in various places in the Bible, and especially Revelation 13, that the whole world will come together to follow the beast. Now, if you're not familiar with Bible prophecy and what the beast is or the mark of the beast, I've linked a really simple and clear Bible study lesson that shows just what this system is all about and what it will do in such a simple way that you will be surprised and amazed. So please check out that Bible study lesson guide in the description box. But the Bible tells us that all the world will follow this government system. Now, many people have questioned this prophecy, saying it's really not possible. How is it possible that all the world will come together to follow this political government system called the beast? There are too many different religions and belief systems. But COVID-19 has shown us how all the world can come together in solidarity when a crisis strikes. Just look how every nation, just about every group of people has decided with solidarity around the world to shut down or put measures in place to stop the spread of this virus. It's really amazing that every nation has communicated and understood that this is what we are all going to do for the common good. And this has all been brought about by a pestilence, COVID-19. So this is one way that we see that this virus is setting the stage to fulfill end-time prophecy, because a crisis of any proportion that affects all world nations will inevitably bring them all together and eventually will lead to all the world following the beast. Number 2, the rights of individuals being reduced. Now, in Bible prophecy, it tells us that this beast government system in the end times will actually cause the people in the world to receive a mark, and anyone who does not have that mark will not be able to buy or sell, which are basic freedoms that we all have. Now, to understand more about the beast or the mark of the beast, I've linked another Bible study guide that will help you understand this topic. It's very simple and it will be very clear and easy for you to understand from a Bible basis. So please check that out. Now, this beast system will restrict these freedoms of buying and selling for anyone that does not go along with the system. But with COVID-19, we can already see some of these freedoms and rights being taken away from people. Now, as we know, around the world, there are various governments that already restrict the rights of their citizens. Governments that are under communism, for example. But in the Western world, we're used to going and coming as we please and just having certain basic human rights. But because of COVID-19 and the threat of spreading this virus, the government has instituted certain measures that prevent us from having the rights to assemble as we normally would. Now, this is really eye-opening because in the United States in particular, our First Amendment constitutional right allows us freedom to assemble. But because of COVID-19, that freedom is now restricted. Now, this is not to say that the measures that are put in place are wrong or right. I believe that we should be very cautious in the way we interact with one another because we don't know a lot about this pestilence and we want to be safe. But this is just going to show how the measures that are being put in place right now are setting up the stage for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. because Bible prophecy tells us that this beast power will restrict the freedoms of buying and selling from people around the world. But not only is our right to assemble being restricted now, but we also see that our right to privacy is being further restricted, with companies like Apple and Google tracking people and their cell phones to see if people have this illness, or with drones being made and put out there to show if people have fevers. It sort of inflicts on our right to privacy. Now, these measures may not be widespread or world spread at this point, but what it does is it sets a precedent, meaning that because it was done now under this situation of a crisis, if there is a future perceived crisis, this constitutional right can be trampled on again. And this is another way that COVID is setting up the stage for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, where the right to buy or sell will be restricted from those who do not adhere to this beast system. Number 3, a snitching society is being encouraged. In Bible prophecy, Jesus himself tells us that in the end times, people will betray one another. We know that around the world there are government systems where people are encouraged to snitch on one another or tell on one another. We think back to Nazi Germany or communist Russia, where this was pretty common. But in Western society, snitching is considered something that's looked down upon, it's frowned on. That's why it really stood out to me in the news, where the mayor of Los Angeles in the United States of America actually said that he would reward people that snitched on their neighbors and friends for opening their businesses or what have you because of the stay-at-home orders.
We need to make sure that everybody continues to let us know where those folks are. If you've observed recurring violations of the Safer at Home order, please continue to let us know at coronavirus.lacity.org/business violation. You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
Now, this really surprised me because here in America, snitching is really looked down upon strongly, and for a mayor, someone in a governmental position, to actually advocate it lets me know that a precedent is being set, meaning that because nothing was said against what this mayor has encouraged people to do, that later on something like this could become much bigger to fulfill Bible prophecy. You see, in the end times, those who are going against what the government, the beast power, wants to have done, they will be betrayed, Jesus said, by friends and family members. So for this particular measure, or this particular encouragement by a mayor to be put in place and no one to say anything against it, is really eye-opening and startling, and shows how COVID-19 once again is helping to set up the stage for the fulfillment of end-time Bible prophecy. Number 4, allowing the government to speak for its citizens. In Bible prophecy, it tells us that the beast system in the end times will have all authority. That means it will have all power over all people. It will have the final say. Now, we know of different nations, especially in communism, that their government speaks for the people. That's just a given for their society. But in the Western world, this is very foreign to us. In fact, it's something that we fight against, typically. But with the COVID-19 virus and the panic and the fear that it has brought about nationwide and internationally, we see that even Western nations are allowing their governments to speak for them instead of the citizens speaking for the government. And it's really especially startling in the United States of America. We elect our officials and we expect them to do what we want them to do. But now we see that from the top down, as a nation, we are being told what to do. We are being told to stay home, practice social distancing, and all these other things. And once again, this is not to say whether it's right or wrong. We want to be cautious and we want to adhere to the measures of hindering this disease from spreading as much as possible. But what this is showing us is that we are actually allowing our government to speak for us, which is something very strange, but it's showing how COVID-19 is helping to set up the stage for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, where this governmental power in the last days will have all authority. The reason that that power has all authority is because the people go along with it and say nothing, which is mostly what's happening today because of the COVID-19 virus. Number 5, there's a push towards legalized, enforced worship. Bible prophecy tells us that this end-time beast government system will require worship and will enforce worship. That's really very clear in Revelation chapter 13. Around the world, there are certain nations that have church and state commingled, meaning that the government is religious and instructs the way religion happens with all the people of that nation. In the Western world, this is not something that we typically would adhere to. We like to be able to worship the way we want to, how we want to, when we want to, and who we want to. But with COVID-19 being a reality, the fact is that many people get very scared, and when people get scared, they typically turn to religion, because whatever their belief system is very comforting to them. And in the Western world, we typically turn to Christianity, to God. And we see that even in our news now, where the president has said we will have a national day of prayer, where different nations that are Christian or Catholic are saying we need to have a national day of prayer. And they're specifying a day, typically a Sunday, to have that day of prayer. But what we're also seeing is that non-religious people are saying we also need to have a day of just rest, a day of not doing anything. And we've seen with the COVID-19, because of the shutdown, because of people not being able to go out and not being able to drive, etc., that is actually having positive effects on our environment. So non-religious people are saying, hey, it would be great if we could have at least one day where we're just at home and we're not having to go out, and it would be great for the environment. With these two groups of people coming together, both believing, one because of religion and one because of the environment, that this would be a good idea for us to shut down one day a week, and that day typically is a Sunday, this could lead to the enforcement of a legalized worship. First and foremost, a specific day of worship that is deemed the day for everyone to worship. And second of all, for all to worship in a specific way, taking away many people's choice of the way they would like to worship and how they would like to worship. We know as Christians that we believe in God and we want to worship Him in His way on His day. But we also believe that God does not force. He gives us a choice. And although COVID-19 is not enforced worship or legalized worship, but with COVID-19 and all that has happened because of it and all that has transpired as a result of people staying home, we have many people that are pushing towards legalizing a way to get people to stay home and or worship on a specific day. And this is very clear from many of the news releases and opinion reports that we see in our media. There was even a Facebook poll that was done asking if we should have businesses closed on Sundays. And the response was so interesting, where many people were saying, this is the way it used to be for us when I was a kid, and it's a great idea. Now, it's not to say that it wouldn't be a good idea to have a day of rest. God has given us a day of rest in His Word, but to enforce a specific day of worship or a specific way of worship on people is actually a fulfillment of the prophecy of the beast who forces the world to worship in a specific way. So this is one way that COVID is helping to set the stage for the fulfillment of end-time prophecy, not just in the United States, but around the world. Once again, I have linked 2 Bible study resources that really clearly explain the beast and what that power is, and the mark of the beast and what that is. This is a very clear biblical understanding. Please check that out. It will help to answer many of your questions, not just about the beast and the mark of the beast, but about end time events. So today I've shared with you 5 ways that I can see that the COVID-19 crisis has helped set the stage for the fulfillment of end time prophecy. But as bad as a crisis as COVID-19 may be, there's one worse than that. And that is not knowing and having a relationship with Jesus Christ for yourself. Jesus Christ is the one who revealed the prophecies to let us know what will happen in the last days. But without him, without a relationship with him, there is no safety and salvation. So I invite you today to join me in giving your heart and your life to Jesus Christ. He is the only one who can help us through the end times, but also allow us to have eternal life and salvation in him. Please give your heart to him today. He's waiting with open arms to receive you and to call you his own. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Take care, God bless, and Maranatha.